Any more kids in the future? You need a baby girl now. Well,
I would say for kids, this is something we've actually talked a lot about.
A lot.
and have gone back and forth on. But for now, we're very happy to have two healthy little boys that are perfect. And I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to say yes, and I'm not going to say no.
Same. We don't know.
We'll see. Yeah.
We are very happy and blessed now.
Yeah.
But we're not saying no.
Yeah, for sure. Out of the two of you, who's more stubborn and strong-willed? Love you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to say on this one, we're both kind of stubborn and strong-willed, but I would say out of the both of us, I think that you're probably going to be the winner of that one.
I won't disagree.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more stubborn and strong-willed.
Yeah.
You tell me that quite often. Yeah. I know you are stubborn, but I love you anyway.
Yeah, it's just Carrie has certain things that she is very adamant about and that you like to have done and that type of thing. And, you know, I have those things as well, but I think as a whole, if we had to choose one or the other, Carrie takes the win on that one.
It's like a 9.9/10 for stubbornness. So we're both there.
That's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it. I think this question is more for me, but how do you manage to continue to be so positive despite the pressure and naysayers you encounter on a daily basis?
It's a good question, though.
Yeah, it is. And you know, with social media and YouTube, obviously, and things like that, I mean, everybody's entitled to have their opinion and to make a comment. And, you know, I think I have dealt with this my entire career, actually, with having naysayers and people telling me that I can't do things or, you know, any variety of negative comments. And for me, I have maintained a positive outlook and attitude just because I don't allow that stuff to bring me down. You know, typically, if somebody out there is making a negative comment, it's, you know, it's because they're not very happy with themselves, actually, and they're just trying to bring me down to their level. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work. I don't pay attention to that. I never have paid attention to that. And it's interesting because you shared a quote with me a couple days ago.
I saw a quote the other day on social media, and it said, the people booing you are the ones that bought tickets to come watch you play. And that's not specifically to Bryant, but just in general. You know, they're the people behind a keyboard or whatever, just watching and following along and not necessarily, you know, doing the same things and going through the same steps that you are.
They're not actually putting themselves out there
Correct.
To compete. So I think that's a good way to look at it. So, you know, if you're trying to achieve something, you've got a goal that you're going after. You know, I remember even getting into strongman. Like, I told a few people that were in kind of my circle around me that I was going to get into strongman and, you know, do that. And they were like, oh my gosh, you're never going to be able to do that. And, you know, if I would have listened to them way back when, I would have never got anywhere. So, you know, it's not listening to negative stuff. And you know, if you want to get somewhere, you can get there. Just be positive and find something positive to go off of and just live your life that way every single day and don't let negative people bring you down.
For sure.
What are the characteristics needed for a long marriage? What do many men and women of generation in Western society lack those characteristics? Historically, where do you think these characteristics for a long-term marriage derive?
Well, that's a heavy question.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's take it question by question his whole question.
So what are the characteristics? What would you say for a long-term marriage? And obviously, Carrie and I are now, I guess we'll be coming up on 5 years of marriage, which has been great. But it's not, I guess in the bigger picture, it's not super long-term. But I think for us, we've laid a really good foundation. And you know, we actually talked a lot. I think that was one of the biggest things, you know, when we first started dating is we had some very open, deep conversations about what we both thought, and our morals and our values, and there wasn't anything that was really off the table early on.
I think for both of us, and what kind of helped with that is we were both comfortable with ourselves and kind of established with ourselves at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us felt we needed a relationship at that time. It was more, hey, I'm good, I'm happy.
Sure.
And we just kind of talked a lot about common interests that led into beliefs and eventually led into that really strong foundation of we had similar beliefs, similar goals.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of couples, that are kind of early on or dating, they don't talk about the hard things, and some of the hard things being, potential parenting styles and whether it's religion or
the tough topics.
Stuff like we talked about like how we would discipline our kids potentially, and stuff like that. Because if you
before we were even engaged, we were talking about disciplining kids.
But if you have a very strong opinion of that, or I know couples that don't talk about whether or not they even want to have kids,
right?
And then they get into dating for multiple years, and they're like, wait a minute, I want to have kids, and you don't want to have kids, and
right?
It becomes a big problem. So I think communication at the end of the day is probably the biggest thing. You have to be open and communicating. Even after we've been married, I think that's one of those things where, there's stuff that comes up where we might disagree, of course, but it's something that can be dealt with by communicating and talking through situations. And, I think that if you can do that, you're going to have a pretty happy marriage.
I think communication helps us in all aspects, like you said, from the start, but still with you traveling, everything, communication's kind of been key for us. And
I think that they're saying, kind of where people lacking those characteristics. I think, with modern society and, so much stuff going online and social media, learning how to talk to another person, especially when you're in a relationship and dating, instead of just doing it all through messages or texting or whatever. I think that's really important to be able to sit down and talk. So
yeah, I would agree.
Would you do the Naked and Afraid show with Eddie? I don't know how this
afraid.
I would be very afraid to do the Naked and Afraid show with Eddie. I feel that he would enjoy that quite a bit. And I have a feeling that both of us would not make it through, because I think that's a survival show, if I remember right, where you're like, you get one thing to go out in like the jungle to live with. I just don't. I don't
funny
see.
Thinking about it.
It would be funny for like the first 12 hours until we were both starving, and we weren't.
12 hours. You guys would be starving way before 12 hours.
Maybe 3 to 6 hours, and after that, it would not be funny anymore.
Yeah. This is what is one thing that you're both polar opposite about. What would you say?
Man, polar opposite. I would say you're much more type A, like where you make a plan. Carrie writes down notes and has a list of things that she wants to get done.
I have lists everywhere. And
I kind of have more of a general, I'm going to get there. I have it in my head. I keep a lot of things in my head that I'm working on, and I always have the wheels turning with projects and things that I'm trying to get done. But Carrie sometimes gets a little frustrated with the fact that I
make those projects happen.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're going to make a list. So I would say we're kind of polar opposites on that.
That's fair. I was just going to say our sleep schedule.
Well, that too. I'm much more of a night person, and Carrie's much more of a morning person.
It's not unheard of for me to wake up at 4, and the bathroom might still be warm from your shower that you took at 1:30 or something like that. So
yeah, sometimes the nights are a little late, but just what we have to do to make life work.
We make it work.
Has there ever been any point during your relationship that your training / workload really put pressure on your relationship? Being away, training a lot, etc. I would say that's kind of a constant thing for us.
Yeah.
We this year, for example, I was gone a ton filming the TV show and for appearances. I was sitting down and thinking about it, and really I think I was home only 2 or 3 weekends between March and the end of September. And that's crazy. I mean, when you really think about that, that's pretty much getting on an airplane every single week and sometimes being gone for, there was one point I think I was gone for like 20 days in a row.
Yeah, do you remember that was the time I packed and sold the old house and prepared us to move to the new house?
Yeah, Carrie did that.
With 2 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get
2 kids that were under 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you trying to put a guilt trip on me right now?
No, you were working very hard for our family as well.
Yeah. So there's a balance. I mean, there's still, to answer your question, there is constant pressure. Yes. I mean, it's just something even on a daily basis. We both train, so we have to cut out time for training. Mm-hmm. We both want to be good parents, so we have to cut out time to play with our kids. We both work on, right now, multiple businesses, and we have to find time to make that happen as well. So our days get very hectic, and they can get very stressful. And, on top of all of that, we still very much try to cut out time to have dates and talk to each other and, not let the kind of stresses of life and traveling and training and everything else become too overwhelming where our relationship starts to take a hit and go downhill. So it's just life. I mean, this is our normal, and we found a way to make it work.
Well, I think we both agree that everything people see and businesses and videos or competitions, all of that, really, it just doesn't mean quite as much without your team behind you.
100%,
so
yeah.
Exactly what you said. We always remember, each other and our kids as they are our priority.
And you have to make it. If you want to make something a priority, you make it a priority.
Absolutely. I like this question. It says, what's the best way to start back into getting into shape if you've been out for a while? How does someone stay motivated? I mean, for you've been training forever.
Yeah.
And I think people just automatically assume like you're super motivated all the time. But really at the end of the day, for anyone new, seasoned veteran of training, world's strongest man, I think you just have to remember one day at a time, one moment at a time. And if you're really just starting out, just get moving, make one good choice at a time. Have a healthy breakfast instead of either skipping it or a donut and coffee.
Yeah.
And let that one good decision roll into the next one and into the next one. It's just, I think people start too big. I mean, people say, how do I become the world's strongest man?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen tomorrow or next week or probably next year. It's a process.
Yeah, setting goals is very important, but sometimes, at least from questions that I get and people I talk to, the goals are too long term, and therefore, if like you just said, if your goal is to become the world's strongest man and you're just getting started, how are you going to get there? That path, is going to be years and years and years and years, and so it's very easy to get off track. And so, like you said, I think that's very powerful. Just make one good choice and then try to have that good choice roll into the next good choice. So, on a daily basis, having a goal of just getting all your food in and eating healthy is a great goal. Or, a short-term goal that you can easily achieve will then roll into the next goal, but it'll keep you on track. And also, when you're achieving these goals, it'll keep you more positive and excited because they're achievable and you did something good, and so it'll reinforce the path that you're on. So
it keeps you motivated.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be an overwhelming thing, but consistency is the biggest factor with this. And I think a lot of people don't get that or don't maintain that consistency to get to where they're trying to go. I think that it's very easy to fall off track, and then if they have one day where they mess up or eat bad, they're like, oh, everything's lost.
Ruined it, right?
But in the whole of the week, you have 7 days, and then in a month you have 30 or 31 days or whatever. If you can be good for the biggest part of that, now that'll roll into the next week and the next month, and it'll keep you on track. And as you start to see results and feel better, it'll make that even stronger and help you to keep moving forward. How has CBD Fit helped your training would you recommend it? I would say that both of us, with the CBD, we're very much on the fence. Neither one of us had really tried it, and we were hearing a lot of good things. And so we were very interested in it, and I think that's kind of where it started. And so once I got involved with Sean, and the concept of CBD Fit came about, and we started kind of testing the products and having some formulations there, I got very excited because, for me, with my training, I get really beat up a lot. And it used to feel like after a hard training session, I would get out of bed and I would feel like I had just got hit by a truck. And it would, I remember, trying to walk and even getting up was like, oh my gosh, I am so beat up and sore. And once I started using that, that started to go away for me, where I can still feel like I train, but I'm definitely not in the same category of feeling like I get hit by a truck. So that had a really positive effect. I felt like my sleep definitely improved from a quality standpoint as well. And I know that you were using it and had some anxiety at times and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, they were probably asking for you, but for anyone that's not doing exactly that's watching, that doesn't do exactly what you do.
Yeah.
I also have been using the CBD Fit products, and like you said, I tend to be a slightly anxious person with my checklists. Oh, yeah. And the CBD has helped kind of just calm me down. I can't necessarily say I feel it hitting me or anything. It's just, I just feel calmer. It helps me sleep better. And also, with my training as well, I don't feel as sore. It helps my recovery, and maybe because for me it's helping with the sleep, or maybe it's also helping with the recovery. But regardless, I felt amazing using it, and take it with me now if I'm on the road for something or whatever. It's just, and I don't even really use a ton of supplements, but CBD is definitely one that I make sure I'm using every day.
Yeah, it's been a good thing with CBD Fit, and it was very important for me because that's an industry where there's a lot of people that are trying to sell it, that we had a doctor on board, and that everything is formulated to have exactly what's supposed to be in there. And for me to get behind a company like that and come on board, that was top priority. I didn't want anything to not be right and correct. So if you're looking at CBD products, or you've kind of been on the fence, kind of like we were, please try out CBD Fit. It's a company that you can trust, and the products I stand behind 100%. So, 100%. As always, there would be a link below the video. If you're interested, you can go check out those products there. How tall is Carrie? It's so hard to tell when she's standing next to Brian.
I see so many questions about that. People think I'm super tall or super short.
Yeah.
I am 5'7".
5'7", so not extremely tall, but not extremely short.
Does that make you happy?
Yeah, it's good. 5'7" is perfect.
Good answer.